Hi everyone, and once again thank you for tuning in to another one of our videos. It means the world to us. This one's coming from Whilton Mill. It's round 3 of Club 100. It's another new track to us, and again it's another round where we haven't taken part in the practice day. So again, Oscar's been thrown in the deep end. So we're expecting the first 1 or 2 sessions for him to struggle a little bit to keep up with the pace, as everybody else again out on track had done the practice day. So the objective of this practice session is simple. We're coming out P3 on the grid, so we're going to have the faster paced drivers mostly all behind us. So it's a case of let them pass us, see if we can follow their lines and set ourselves up as best as possible for a fast time in the qualifying session afterwards. Our target of course is to make the A final. That's been the end goal for this first season in outdoor karting at Club 100. And a good indicator of where we are in terms of pace is the kart ahead of us, which is Sam Bernal. He's expected again to be in the A final, fighting at the top end for the towards the podium spots. So we'll see how he goes. We'll see if we can keep up with him. It's unlikely, but we know that the pace ahead is what we'll need to be doing if we're to make an A final and to become competitive. So let's get into this. Cheers for tuning in and enjoy. So this is Oscar's first lap of Whilton Mill, and as we expected, Sam Bernal ahead has started to put a bit of a gap between himself and us. Our plan for this first practice session is quite simple. It's to let the faster paced karters from behind us go, to then try and follow their lines, try and learn their braking points and see if we can set ourselves up as best as possible for a fast lap in the qualifying session next. And if we can make top 13 in that qualifying session, we're in the A final, and that is the overall objective. Something to achieve before the end of the season. So we currently have a gap of 5 seconds behind us to the chasing pack. At GYG and PFI, Oscar was losing around 1.5 to 2 seconds per lap on the race leaders during practice. So we're expecting them of course to catch up with us, but we'll see how long he can hold them off for.
That curve there, that was really easy down. That used to be like
So we've managed to hold them off for 4 full laps. The first that will be overtaking us shortly is Logan McAllister there in the red suit. He is the overall round winner. He sets the fastest lap. So if there's anybody you want in front of you to try and follow, he is the ideal candidate. The drivers were strictly warned in the pre-race briefings about not putting all 4 wheels over the white line at the edge of the tarmac. However, this didn't prevent that from being the case. Both groups, A and B and the super lightweights, were given warnings after the race regarding this. By going out onto the runoffs there, increases the exit speed for these drivers. So it's a bit unfair on Oscar to have to watch this happen ahead of him, but proud of him again for following the rules and for not receiving any warnings throughout the entire day. And it was exactly the same story behind us. Need I say anything? Well, it's not possible for Oscar to follow their lines when their lines are illegal. But to be fair, Oscar's lines are very good. He seems to nail them all. He makes a few mistakes throughout the course of the day, which is expected of somebody who is not just a novice to this series and these types of karts, but is also a novice to this track. But it's more the braking points that he needs to work on, more so than the actual racing lines. So a little bit of a slip here from Oscar. It did look like he took a shunt on the camera footage, but from this footage you can see he clearly didn't. It cost him on the way through the chicane. He lost a few spots there. Obviously his exit speed was hampered, so he lets a couple of other karts go down the straight. But if he is going to make little mistakes, now's the time to do it in the practice session when it doesn't count. Right, so I'm going to try and get a bit analytical here. Let's see how this goes. So Oscar's finished in P22 of 26. He's finished 1.888 seconds off the leader, Logan McAllister, who set the fastest lap. If we're to compare this now to GYG and PFI results, at GYG, Oscar took part in the test day. He had to because it was his first race in Club 100. So on that day, in the first test session, he was 2.787 seconds off the leader. Moving on into the first practice session of the race day then at GYG, he was 1.55 seconds off the leader. So we can see there on the race day, he made up 1.2 seconds having done test day. So we can't really include that into these stats. So then if we look at PFI, Oscar was 2.283 off the leader at PFI in the practice session. So 1.888 today is an improvement of 0.4 seconds. So we've got to say this is definitely his best practice session so far.
Super lights, Group B have just come in. You guys are using the track limits too much. You're not slowing down on the yellows and you're all smashing that monster curve. Guys, you need to rein it back in a little bit, calm it down. Hitting that monster curve really doesn't help you. It slows you down, okay? Owner driver carts fly over it, they ruin their carts. You'll ruin these carts and therefore you'll go slower, okay? Less track limits, slow down on the yellows and leave that monster curve alone, please, and thank you.
Okay, so yeah, as Barnaby just said, we're going to fill these carts up to fuel before you go out for qualifying, so give these guys a bit of space
trying to get through
to get down a bit.
Right, cheers.
We're actually far off them.
First was 55, you were 55.
So I'm pleased to say that unlike at PFI, we made it to the pits this time for the qualify with plenty of time to spare. So we have the full video footage of everything that happened. Even stood trackside for this session, we could see the difference in Oscar. He'd clearly worked out the lines in the first practice session, and now he was off. He was running, he was going fast, he was competing. This was a big improvement from the first session. So we're starting the qualifying session in P3, the same as we did in the practice session. The only difference now is that the carts behind Oscar actually follow him out of the pit straight away this time, so he's under immediate pressure. Oscar's coming out in P3. 1.9 seconds off the leader from the last race. Lap 2. It's already clear to see that we've improved on pace. Sam Bernal, 2 karts ahead of us, isn't pulling away from us like he was in practice. We're actually keeping pace with him. But Logan McAllister right now, the speed that he's got coming up behind us here is absolutely unbelievable. If somebody told me he had a rocket, I'd believe them. that's how to maximise track limits to perfection. Yeah, I'm not going to deny it. It is incredibly frustrating now watching pretty much all the races ahead of us so far, ignoring the track limits here. You can only wonder where Oscar might have finished once you see the end results for the qualifying. If he'd ignored the track limits too, because he would have had a better run off from here and saved himself maybe even a couple of tenths. Above the middle of the frame. Coming around the bend. So I might be overanalyzing this, however I don't think I am. We need to know where we're gaining time, where we're losing time on the track. Tenths, hundredths, even thousandths of a second will always make the difference between A finals, B finals, podiums, etc. So when we look at this last half of a lap, it begins with Oscar 0.9 seconds ahead of the karter behind. The karter behind then exceeds the track limits and is immediately 0.7 seconds behind Oscar, making up 2 tenths, which is huge in terms of qualification times. So then we fast forward for another half of a track. Oscar is now 1.1 seconds ahead of him, showing that without anywhere to gain on track limits, Oscar was actually 0.4 seconds faster. That's 5. After 3 more laps of continually exceeding the limits, the karter behind catches up with Oscar here. You can see the difference, just how much space he makes up on him there. So Oscar now just pulls aside and waves him through. It's not worth trying to hold somebody off when they've got at least a couple of tenths a second lap advantage on you. It's nothing against this particular karter, he's the one that just happens to be in the frame. But as I've been showing throughout the video, it seems that most of the racers out there, at least the ones around us that we can see, have been exceeding the track limits on that same corner. So I do feel like saying to Oscar, you may as well just follow the pack. If the Club 100 officials aren't going to penalise them, then why be the only one to lose out? A dive up the inside by Frederick Navarro here in the red forces us to exceed track limits ourselves for the first time. Not much Oscar could do about that. Track limits warning here for kart 31 ahead of us, however no penalties were handed out, so really it was meaningless. can't see it too well in this camera footage, but Oscar loses a little bit of traction just here now, which sends him a little bit wide. He just exceeds track limits, but nowhere near as much as the two karts ahead of him. I think we can let him off. So let's have a look then at where we've finished and where we potentially could have finished if we'd also ignored the track limits rules and gained that extra 0.2 seconds per lap advantage. P17 of 26, which makes our best qualifying result of the season so far. We had a 55.865, so if we were to take 0.2 of a second off that and give ourselves a 55.665, that would put us in P12 behind Jamie Crampton, which would put us into the A final for making the top 13. So you can understand now why I've edited this the way I have and pointed out that other people were purposefully exceeding the track limits to gain that extra bit of an advantage. So for this round, that's potentially the reason why we've just missed out on an A final appearance, which is our overall goal for this season.
Up online now, you can check those out.
Alright dude.
Our cadet grids.
P18. Not a long way off the A, if you know what I mean. That was really good. So yeah, P18, really good. 1.2 off the leader, 1.9 in the first one, so you're catching that. Really good stuff.
Why does it need to rain now? It's a joke.
Just for the record, Oscar's just setting up to go out for the pre-B final. And the sky's turning. It's looking like rain.
Yeah, it probably won't be too bad. It might be a little bit slippery, but that's probably the only thing we need to watch out for as we start. We just need to go easy. There's no point in telling yourself before turn one.
So let's have a think back to what happened at PFI when it started raining. There you go, there's two for you. Another one. So if the heavens do decide to open, then as much as I know Oscar doesn't want to race in the rain, I'm quite excited for it, to be honest. I know his capabilities and he's proving to be a very good wet weather driver. All I will say about this session is it gets very physical out there, it costs Oscar heavily, but don't blink. In the days leading up to this, we talked about the importance here of switching to the right hand side of the track so there's less chance of being run off onto the grass. There's 2 right hand bends coming up. Can Oscar do it as soon as we get past the start line? It was at this point we started noticing that there was a gap appearing in front of Oscar, and the carters behind him were literally on his back bumper. He was being loaded down the straights and bumped into repeatedly. We thought at the time maybe he's just defending really hard, but having looked at his lap times after this race, he's got the 3rd slowest lap time on the track of 30 racers. Now he started in P11 on merit, so there's no reason why 17 other carters out there should suddenly be faster than him, other than he's got a crap kart. So now Oscar just starts losing positions. We lose 4 now over the following lap from this point onwards. It's exceptionally frustrating. The kart is obviously shocking. It has no top end speed, and people are just driving past Oscar like he's not even there. The racer in blue now uses the extra pace to get the inside line. Oscar goes wide, Paige follows through, that's the one who looks like Oscar, and basically everybody else is just queuing up behind Oscar now waiting for their chance to get the free overtake. That, I'm relieved to say, is a blob of rain. There's still hope yet. We almost get wiped out here by a late dive bomb, but it ends up costing the other driver instead. Did they clip Oscar? I don't think Oscar even knew it happened. This flag means that the surface conditions have changed, however Oscar wrongly mistaken it and hit the brakes, costing him a position. In the rain. Oh, they're all going to tighten up now, aren't they? There's a flag there then, Oscar slowed down I think for the flag. They let him past. No, he's just lost 2 on there then. 1. Looked to me like he slowed down for the flag. One went past him. He's just got shunted. This kart just has no pace and we're being loaded into all over the track, which is what sent us wide here. Another shunt there. think Oscar was a bit too cautious of the driver in the red there to his left hand side, so he completely overcooked it going into the first turn. That ruined the entire sequence of turns and cost him another 3 positions. You can now see the rain coming down on our footage here, and it's getting pretty slippy out there. The driver that sent it up the inside there just couldn't hold his line. This is where the mayhem begins. Again, Oscar's proven his worth here in the wet. Rapid reactions and fantastic kart control to avoid a head on there and to just find the gap. That was absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, he's just avoided a crash there. And again, more people.
That didn't look too nice. We just hope all 3 drivers were okay. This incident means the remainder of the final lap is about to be yellow flagged, so single file and no overtaking. So was this a fair overtake by Ruben ahead? We're not too sure, but as you can see on this picture here, both green and the yellow flags were waving at the same time. Oscar had spotted the yellow, I think, earlier than Ruben had. Don't know where he was going. I think he was doing a bit of sightseeing once he come off the throttle, and he obviously went wide towards the grass. And Ruben pounced up the inside. And here's another reason for why the yellow flags are being waved. That was a strange ending to the race, with Ruben making up in the end 3 positions on the final lap. We're not too sure how legal all of that was. All we know is there were only yellow flags waving at the time. And as you can see on the picture here, Paige in the bottom right clearly wasn't happy. She lost 2 positions coming up to the end. So we finished right back where we started in P11, and what an absolutely fantastic race that was towards the end, with a bad kart and especially again in wet conditions. Of 30 racers, and this is the standout thing, Oscar set the 3rd slowest lap time. That's astonishing considering he finished P11 of 30. So if you look down the list, the only people that were slower than Oscar finished in P21 and P29. But if you look at Oscar's average lap time, then that firmly puts him into P11 where he's finished. So looking at the data here from this race, what it tells me is Oscar's incredibly consistent in wet conditions. He's not the fastest out there, but the consistency that he's showing is the reason why he's finishing so high up in the grid. The lines he's following with very little experience other than Daytona Tamworth and the one race that he had at PFI are obviously very good. It's something he's naturally figured out himself. As I said, he's had no real previous experience and absolutely zero training for this. It only points to a positive future in outdoor karting for him, and obviously if the weather's going to change, I'll be looking forward to that trackside cheering him on. And today he's gone one better than he did at PFI. He's made up 11 positions in the last 1 to 1.5 laps.
Oh, it's raining again now.
Yeah, it's Oscar's zone if it rains, so I expect P1 in the rain.
Yeah, P1 Oscar. Come join me in the A. You were like side by side with me or just behind me?
It'd be nice, that'd be a nice end of season target if we could make the A final
Yeah.
in one of the rounds. I mean, to be starting this in MP9, that's the best he's done so far in the first 3 rounds. So
Yeah.
just looking to keep, moving upwards.
Progress, isn't it?
There's progress like a lot from like even to UIG because he was like fairly like close to the back, and just now he's like 9th in the B is actually really
He
good.
finished P13 in the final at GYG in the B.
Yeah.
I think he started P16, didn't he? He made 3 spots.
Yeah.
He started P28 because of the crash at the beginning of the Pre-B final at PFI, so he didn't even compete in the Pre-B.
Yeah.
So he started P28, made his way up to 18th in the final in the rain. So yeah, he's in P9 now, aren't you, for the start of this? So
Everyone was going off at that first corner like in Oscar's
PFI?
race. No, in Oscar's race
just-
then. Everyone was going
Oh yeah,
off.
PFI was awful.
Oh yeah, that was bad as well.
3B when we
Yeah.
all went underneath the tunnel. That was.
yeah, what happened? Oscar's been loaded down the straight. It's on film. A car comes and pushes him down the straight. Around the first little right bend, that cart then literally
Yeah,
dipped
that
off
was
him
bad.
in a second before he was pushed into the spun out cart ahead. He couldn't.
Yeah, I was
so
down
you
there
know,
as well. It was just.
Yeah.
It's carnage under that bridge. I got mounted up the rail like twice and just under that bridge.
Yeah, 'cause you hurt your arm, didn't you? At
Yeah.
PFI. He said he almost a broken arm.
Yeah.
And Oscar almost done his wrist in. He's not clean. He's perfectly okay now. Right then.
What was it? Was it anything like big or was it just hurting for a bit?
Impact. If you watch it on the footage there,
Yeah.
it's on YouTube now, the video, it's just like blink.
Yeah, I saw that. It was
Yeah,
pretty
if
bad.
you watch it on the helmet cam, you see him over the cart like
Yeah.
this a bit. But I heard that bang listening to it live, you don't hear it on the footage. So it's like proper.
Yeah.
It wasn't a click, it was boom, it was
Yeah.
heavy
That was
impact.
chaos, that.
And it knackered all the steering column and
Oh yeah,
everything,
because
didn't
the
it?
steering column was broken into a retirement.
Yeah, that was it then. I said crash damage kart, you can't race stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you I think it's when you break something on the car, you can't go back out again. So
Yeah.
you won't give you another car. It's pretty hard.
It's wrong if it's your own fault, I
Yeah.
get that. If it's somebody else, there's nothing you can do about it, unavoidable. But it's all learning anyway, so he's doing good. Right then, I'll leave you to it. Alright, turn the other side. Everything you got, dude. Okay.
Nothing to lose here.
Got a bit of rain.
I don't know though. I want to do something else.
GX UK.
Huh?
GX UK.
I won't be able to afford that.
Trust me, it's cheaper than Club 100 once you've got the car.
Yeah, but
but
even all the
what?
repairs and everything.
There's never big crashes, they all have respect. There's no competitiveness either. It's like everyone's one
Yeah, I
big
saw
family.
Brad Phil point. It's just like
Yeah,
it is
everyone just cares.
competitiveness, but like
Everyone's one
clean.
big family and it's clean.
You thinking about going into a karting or give it a couple of years?
No, not going.
Yeah, fair
Fair
enough.
enough.
It's hard.
I think
Have you got any sponsors? Gonna
you
try
need
and
to
get
look.
some. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
just
might
look
be getting a couple
around.
of sponsors, but
Yeah.
it's so hard to nowadays. Because to be fair, tons of businesses going like They don't have much money.
Do you know do you know who Jake Anders is? Even he doesn't have. How many does he have? Like 1, 2 sponsors?
I don't think it. I think
he has
one.
Pro Clean, which is his dad's company.
Oh yeah, but that's.
And then he has Warrington Optimum Wellness or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's hard even for the best.
I didn't stop watching.
But I mean, this race won't be hard for you when this rain comes down.
Yeah, I know. Just watching. This is like Oscar's time to shine now. Podium and coming.
Yeah, that was an interesting chat there between Lewis Prendergast, and I'm sorry, but I forget what your friend's name is. But to talk about the owner karting, the GX UK series, it's something that, of course, I'd love to be able to do for Oscar. But as Oscar just said, the finances just aren't there at the moment. However, if we had a chance in the future, if we could find a partnership or a sponsor, you know, that could help us be able to financially make that jump up into owner karting, then of course we'd definitely do it. And I absolutely believe that Oscar would have a huge career in this sport. But for now, we'll have to make do with the rental karting, the Club 100 series, and hopefully we can afford to take part in this again for next season. But of course, if anybody out there is watching this and would be interested in getting behind Oscar in any sort of a way that could financially help us, contact us. My ears are open, my phone's always on. So before the final race gets going, I'd just like to say a big thank you here to Lewis Prendergast and your friend for the support that you've shown Oscar. And we look forward to racing with you again in the next round.
Turn 1, and then you covered.
Next time round for these cadets. If I can have Junior Powers to help us out of this pit lane again. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. Glad you stopped off these carts. And make your way down to the scales, please. Number plates and transponders. And get yourselves down to the scales. Give it away, everybody.
Oscar's officially starting in P9, but due to the spaces 3 of the karts ahead of him have left, he ends up starting the race in P10. And again, as in the Pre-B, finally nicely works his way over to the right hand side of the track just here. think the difference is clear to see already between this kart and the kart that Oscar had in the pre-final. You'd have easily been forgiven for thinking that Oscar's lack of experience was the reason he was losing so many places in the last race, but as you can see here, give him a decent kart that's capable of competing and you can make up positions. Oscar did really well to catch up with Paige, who was in P10. Over a couple of laps he was a good distance behind her to begin with. So he had the pace on her, but I think he sat too long behind her. He just didn't show enough hunger to get past, and that's cost him. And I think that's something that will just come with experience at this level.
Drivers, I think it's going to be final lap next time round on this junior race.
Should Oscar have sent it up the inside here? He had 1.5 seconds to get into this gap. And again another karter decides to hold it round the outside here on this bend. We have to give space. They go a little bit over track limits, but that gives them the extra pace and they seal the overtake. We spoke with Paige and her family after the race, as we knew we'd have some footage of what had happened. The footage isn't very clear from either this angle, to be honest, or from Oscar's angle. But I hope that you can, make some sort of a judgment from this.
You've got him, go on. Hold it around the outside. And watch the switch back. I don't think there's anything to do.
It was a great race, to be honest. Nice and solid stuff there from Oscar. He carried good pace. He could have made up more positions if he was a bit more hungry, should we say. Although he has since said that it's a bit difficult getting past Paige, as she was quite aggressive in trying to get past the kart in front of her. So she was switching from the left to the right and so on. But it's all experience gained for Oscar, and some of the spaces that she left or might have left, other karters probably would have took advantage of. But as I said, he'll pick that up in time. So finished P13. He came off track a little bit gutted that he didn't quite manage to beat his performance from GYG, which was obviously better than PFI with the crash and starting from the back in the final, etc. So yeah, fantastic round altogether. Definitely our best performance so far. In the wet, Oscar was fantastic. In the dry, with a decent kart in the final, he showed that he's got the pace to compete. and he now has a new favourite track. The more technical that they get, the more he enjoys them. So we look forward to Rd3, which is our next race. That's coming up on the 13th of September.
That's good. Well done there. Got 13. Not bad, it's a decent result that. Everyone just kept getting you, like, kept getting a switchback on you there, didn't they? You'd cover the inside and then just get that switchback.
How was that then?
It's alright, but I wanted to finish above 13th.
To beat GYG?
Yeah.
But no, you did well. We'll see if there's any penalties being issued as well. I mean, Paige got spun out, something happened ahead of you, that might be a penalty for somebody else as well. So, well done, dude.